Hello, welcome to an episode of Time of Day, the Transatlantic wargame podcast brought to you by the people that break for assault. I'm the Panhard recording from somewhere in the South England, and as ever, I'm joined by my co-host Mike in sunny LA. Mike, is it sunny in LA?
No, the thunderstorms have passed. Now we have high winds. We've got like 50 to 60 mile an hour winds going on. I
Damn it,
don't
Mike, he
know.
promised me 3 weeks where it didn't sign. This is like the fifth week now where it's been,
Well, the sun is out. It's just cold and freezingly blowing wind.
yes, well, that's a bit like it is here, but the sun bit.
Mm.
It's just cold, dark, and blowing a gale here. Wolves are like stalking the streets as we speak. We are on episode 2 of the Blitzkrieg run. We're looking at the French today, aren't we, Mike?
Yes. And
Ooh la la.
as somebody who's only played fourth edition or V4,
Hmm.
uh, I don't know what to expect from early war French, but I sure as hell didn't get it.
It's just like they're weird for the French sometimes in the early war. They have some very interesting things about them. I mean, although they weren't fully motorized, only the British were the only fully motorized army, they did have the only battalions fully mounted in armored transports. Even the Germans were managing whole companies at the time.
I thought they had one battalion that was fully armored at that
Maybe
point.
Panzerlier might have been, yeah, but the French had battalions.
It's a shame those half tracks were no good.
Yes, but I know so used poorly, and that's really what the French in in Second World War. They had really interesting equipment, they had really good equipment. Like say, probably one of the finest medium tanks of that period in the Somua. They had decent anti-tank guns. Infantry were, a professional army largely, but just really inept management at a sort of staff general level kind of thing.
Well, at a governmental level, because if and you correct me if I'm wrong here, the French government was so afraid of a military coup, they literally stopped the general staff from having troops longer than like 6 months.
I've heard that before. I've never really that much into the French in the sort of interwar, pre-war theory, but I could I could see that being a thing. But anyway, so we obviously looked at the Germans last time. We have now got the command cards, but since we didn't do the Germans, we'll do all those on like episode 4. We'll look at
Give us a little time to pick the good ones out.
yeah. I almost threatened Mike now, and he sort of like had a little bit of meltdown as he realised he hadn't actually done anything with the command cards yet. So we'll do that in the fourth episode. We'll do our highlight reel, the best of the command cards on the fourth episode, when we look at the two-player starters and that kind of thing. But yeah, so we will take a look at the French. So Mike, do you want to bring up the old force diagram here so we can? Mhm.
Absolutely.
I should say by now, if you haven't listened to the podcast, Shoot and Scoop podcast, like say Eddie, Duncan, and myself have gone through the whole book, like a very slimmed down version of this. So you can hear
So
their opinions on it, and this will give you. We'll do the detailed stuff on time of day, the deep dive.
do not believe the Eddie and Duncan slander about this show that they've thrown out. Duncan has been on this show and Eddie has been invited. They're lying to you. So this is four of the six because of how the PDF is, and if you open the book, it's a two-page spread.
Hmm.
So we have the Samois, the Renaults, the
But Char B1, there's quite a few
Chasseurs.
different Renaults in this.
Oh,
Little
don't worry. You're gonna get to. I'm sorry. There's a lot of Renaults. There's an infinite number of Hotchkiss tanks in this
all
book.
the Hotchkiss, yes.
We have the Chasseurs
Mhm.
company, the motor fusilier squadron, a rifle company, and the Panhard AMD reconnaissance squadron. Again, the force may only have one reconnaissance squadron.
Yeah.
We'll go over these rules in a
And you
minute.
probably
So let's
need
just
that
go back to
because
this.
unlike the German ones, the Panhards would be a nightmare if they could be spammed out in one formation. But yeah. So yeah, so again, like I say, a mix of tank formations, mix of infantry formations, and a recce formation. So lots of flexibility there, which is always nice.
I will say, having peeked at the command cards also call out that you can only have one reconnaissance armored car squadron, so you can't take the one in the book and then a command card. You are actually locked down to a single recce company of any type.
That's interesting. I have to go back and look at that German motorcycle thing and see if there's the same thing with
I
the
don't think because the motorcycle is technically an infantry company. I think they get away with it.
technically, yeah. Right. Makes sense. So we'll just quick peek at the force.
And then we've got the supports. That's a lot of 75 millimeter artillery batteries.
And they are quite good.
Mhm.
Well,
uh,
mainly because of the special rule they get, which is that basically,
which we'll go over after we talk
oh,
about
next bit,
the
yeah, yeah.
stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, Hotchkiss Recon, Renault FT tanks. So re
Last
I'm
year's wars
shocked
is
that you can put a First World War tank in your
well,
force type.
they still had independent battalions equipped with the FT-17s. Well, they haven't fought to the poles; they kept for themselves and were using. Bear in mind, some of these tanks will then appear with their battalions in Sicily through the Sicily campaign. You know, the FT-17 was knocking around. Yeah,
25 and 75 AA.
yeah,
Uh, Only an infantry observation post, no mechanized or armored version for that.
yeah. So last episode I said everyone got both options, but I was wrong. Yeah, the French only get a dismounted version and two
Uh,
anti-tank boxes. Yeah,
yeah, so 47 and 25 show up on both, but there's a 75 anti-tank and then the Laughley, which we will laugh at later. Boom.
yeah. It's not so horribly broken, Sedition.
And then let's take a look at special rules,
Hmm.
right? We've seen transport secondary, gigantic. I unfortunately lost a little bit of methodical. We'll read that out, but
Well, basically,
artillery quickfire.
yeah, you've got the bit of matters with methodical. Basically, because of French tactics, they have a worse tactics rating and move at a slower tactical speed. Because the whole thing with French was they didn't do mobile warfare. They worked out from World War One a defense was better than offense. And so the idea was the tank's just there to move up to the line, but they sit still and be a pillbox. If you're attacking, you just move towards the objective and you sit still and pound it at short range.
And I'm not sure if this is good or bad, but if a methodical tank breaks off in the assault step, they go at terrain dash instead of tactical.
Yeah, so basically,
So,
that because obviously normally you'd break off at tactics, that would bite you in the butt if you've only got a 6-inch tactics and do an assault. So it
mhm.
does mean that you can put the pedal to the metal and get out of there. But yeah,
And then the thing that I think is going to make France very scary is the quickfire roll for artillery.
mhm,
Because an artillery unit equipped with a 75. Oh, it's only on the 75s. Okay, that explains why we
correct.
have so many boxes of them.
Hmm.
Fires of bombardment only rerolls successful hits if one of the weapons and rerolls unsuccessful hits when firing with 4 weapons or more. So
Hmm.
basically, it's a single gun, reroll hits, reroll successes. 2 to 3 you shoot normally. 4+ you get reroll fails.
Yeah. As we'll see later, the 75s comes in two and fours. So basically, you can either buy two and just fire normally, or buy a four and get that benefit of that extra reroll to start with.
Right. So basically, once you get your hands on the book, you're gonna have to, you know,
Hmm.
do the math of the 75 boxes and go from there.
Yes.
But
Hmm.
3 pairs of 75 artillery guns is a lot of artillery
Yeah.
that you don't need to re-roll on.
And although it's only firepower four, so if you catch the enemy out in the open, you'll massacre them.
All right, so let's take a look at our first formation,
Mm.
and it's a doozy. Behold, confusion.
And
Uh,
it's kind of annoying because in reality, they didn't really mix the tank types. So you had Somwas or you had Hotchkisses. You didn't mix them at a squadron level, but fine. They did it in version 3 as well. So,
right. So
mhm.
any main box consists of a Samoa combat patrol or a Hotchkiss H35 or a Hotchkiss H39 or a Hotchkiss H39 late.
Yeah,
So man, they really want you to buy that Hotchkiss tank box multiple times so you have every variant.
I'm trying to think if there's any visual difference between a H35 and a H39. I thought it's just a different engine. That's why the 35s are a bit slower, but
I think there's an armoring difference. We'll
maybe.
get to that.
But also, you have a little, bizarrely, you have a little anti-tank box as well with a 25 millimeter, which is interesting. If you're
Mhm.
taking the Sun Wars, you probably won't bother. If you're taking the Hotchkisses, it might be useful.
Right. So these guys are confident, trained, aggressive. They are tactics five
Hmm.
up though,
Yep.
because that methodical thing we were talking about.
Hmm.
So I think confident, trained, aggressive, probably pretty all right as far as stat lines for the French go.
Yeah, I mean, so in the previous editions, they were basically confident trained, which is the same as being confident trained aggressive now. So no major shocks to the French players here. Shouldn't be expecting much different. We will say now when we get to the infantry, there are command cards that deal with the weird flavors of infantry, like colonial troops and stuff like that. But the tanks always confident trained aggressive.
Right. Your HQ can either be a Somua S35 or a Hotchkiss H39 with the long 37. We'll
Yeah.
get to the Hotchkisses later, but the Samoas are 431,
Hmm.
tactical 8, terrain dash 12, cross country 18, road dash 24 up cross. The 47 mil cannon, range 24, rate of fire, 2 halted, 1 moving, anti-tank 7, firepower 4 up, 3 dice of machine guns. You know what machine guns look like.
It's fairly
This
standard
is a
fare for a medium
really
tank.
competent looking tank.
It's got best armor of all the medium tanks. You're going to
Hmm.
see if every the heavier armored heavies, absolutely. But when it comes to a medium tank, it's got by far the best gun, or at least on par with the 2 pounder, and it's got definitely the best armor. Even it's out armoring the Panzer III, which is probably the next closest. No, its
Yeah, so
speed.
this thing will mulch uh Panzer 38s, Panzer 2s,
Panzer
uh
III's
Panzer 3s. Panzer 3 has like a decent
50,
shot
yeah, about
of
50-50, especially at range.
right. Uh
Mhm.
the Stugs have a little bit of a better chance, but who has the points to run Stugs?
I mean, you're going to have four. Well, what's it? About is it four? I think four Stugs for every two. Sorry, four Sunwas for every two Stugs or something like that. So no more than that. 'Cause I
Uh,
think the Stugs were like no, they were about 20 points, weren't they, for two from right?
yeah, it was a pair of them for 20-ish points.
Yeah. So you
So
get about four. Yeah, you're going to be outnumbering them 2-1 anyway.
I think like pretty efficiently pointed actually. You get a lot
Yep.
of tank for, you know, a reasonable cost of points here.
Hmm. And being aggressive is not going to hurt too much without kind of front armor, unless the enemy's got,
No.
like, say, the 88s out, because you can have a save against a Panzerjäger.
Yeah, you'll get that 50-50 roll against Panzerjäger,
Yep.
and then you'll slap them back in return.
Hmm. And against the 3.7s and certainly with 2 centimeters, you're laughing basically.
Hmm. It's
Hmm.
solid tank.
Yeah, I mean, on the few occasions the somewhat actually gets used en masse, it did really well. The
Yeah,
problem
so you can
is,
get these in 3, 4s, or 5s.
mhm. I will
So
I
sorry, go
will
ahead.
say one thing. Let's say for annoyance here is the fact you're not even tied to having the HQ be the same as at least one platoon. So you could have a cheap Hotchkiss HQ and then lots of Sunwars, for example. Just a little grating.
The Samoa costs twice as much as the Hotchkiss, and I'd rather have the Samoa. So,
Yeah. Oh, so
but
yeah,
if you don't
absolutely.
have those points to spare, that's a little trick you can get to squeeze those last few points out into something
Yeah.
else.
Talking about the Hotchkiss,
Right. So let's talk about the H35
yeah. So this is slightly earlier, the two Hotchkisses, basically. And it's
of
got
the
a slightly lower speed profile, basically.
yeah.
Only a 6-inch tactical rather than 8-inch tactical. Later H39 has, and it tops out at about 16 inches on a road dash compared to 20 inches on the H39. Other than that, though, same cross, same armor profile. Um,
No, it's
yeah,
for number
yes,
3.
yeah. So is the H39.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was comparing it to the Salmon in my brain.
No, so I'm talking about hate. I'm
Yeah,
comparing my Hotchkiss
I
to
understand.
Hotchkiss.
My
I'm doing
apologies.
oranges to oranges here.
Oh no. Yeah.
Um, I mean, and for a light tank, 331 is a decent profile. I mean, you'd think these are the equivalent of a Panzer One slash Panzer Two, but I mean, well, basically a Panzer Two was for armor free as well, but obviously a much lower. Um, is it three or was it two? I think it's two actually. Now I say it. So again, out armoring the Germans. Its gun certainly the short 37 is a little underwhelming. 2-1 movement profile, 8 tank 4, 5 power 4 plus, and overworked, which is common to all the Hotchkisses, but not the Somua. So that's always one worth remembering.
Well, I believe the Hotchkisses had a two-man and the Samoa had a bigger two-man.
Yeah, so the
Might have been
Hotch,
a three-man.
I think the Somua, it kind of has like almost a 1.5 man. It's basically a radio operator who could kind of load the gun at a push, but could certainly pass ammo to the commander to make it easier to keep it topped up. It wasn't a true one-man turret. It definitely wasn't a true two-man turret, but it's clear enough to give it outside overworked.
Yeah, so both of these also come in 3, 4, and 5. One of them will always be the long,
Hmm.
which gives you just an AT5 instead of AT4. Same 4 firepower, same range, still overworked.
Yeah.
So a weird Firefly kind of situation, although they all move the same speed.
Yes. And that sort of stays the same with the H39 combat platoon. There's somewhat, not the late, but the first one.
Yeah.
So that basically has all the same sort of layout. But it just improves the speed. So you go,
And it's negligible point increase. Like,
it's negligible speed increase.
well, no, it. I mean, I
The
think it's
eight,
not a negligible. I
well, the
mean,
8 inch
2 points of
tactical
tacticals.
is nice. Yes.
6 inch to 8 inch tactical is not nothing to sneeze at.
No.
And so for the minutia of points it takes to go from the 35s to the 39s, I think is just worth it. It's the same setup.
Hmm.
3, 4, 5. One of them is always a long.
Yeah. And the last one is the H39 late, which technically is a post Dunkirk, the last literal month of war before it all ends. And this is entirely the long H39, so they all have the 8 tank 5 main gun,
And you only get 3 of them.
and you only get 3 of them. Yeah, you don't get the option up to 5. But compared to, like, say, a platoon of H39s, 3 for 3, it's only a small point, a point more than, and you get a big jump in firepower. So,
Right.
but
So for whatever reason, you're running them in threes.
mhm.
It's kind of the winner's choice, I guess.
Yeah, especially if you want numbers and don't mind only having the 4, i.e., just can look at these as for dealing with dug-in infantry and machine gun platform. Probably the standard H39 is the way to go. If you want something to go deal with Panzer ones and Panzer twos, you probably get a H39 late. Right.
But yeah, so there's plenty of we'll get to the AT guns with the infantry. That's where
Hmm.
they show up, and the Lafleys in support. But I don't know how. Like, I can definitely see like 1 or 2 platoons of Samwas, and then just like jamming in a bunch of cheap Hotchkisses to give that formation bulk
Yeah,
quite easily.
I think the Sandwars could be a very attractive tank. I can see it being a go-to formation support if you're doing infantry. I think the formation, like you said, the formation is going to be a very attractive one to run.
So then we move on to our other tank squadron,
But Char, cup of
the
tea.
B1. So yeah, some of these will look familiar. It's either, you get the Renault Char B1s, the Renault R35s, or the variety of Hotchkisses that we've seen so far. Although the fourth box, no option for another Char B1.
Yeah, I think that's because in reality they only had in a Char B tank company, it would be literally HQ Char B and 3 platoons of Char Bs. Only
And
in the
then,
actual light company would you then have the 4 platoons of R35s. It's that thing where there should probably be two separate formations. You have a Char B formation and a Renault formation. They sort of mashed them together. It's a bit weird.
yeah, well, I can kind of see why. looking at these points, but
Yes, you probably need to make it a viable thing to put on because, yeah, three of them is basically is getting yourself on a good way to a one drop reserve and a 40 point force. With HQ and a platoon of three would get you your one drop reserve or two drop reserve at that point.
mhm. But these things are monsters. Confident, trained, aggressive, 5-up counterattack, 5-up assault, 5-up
Hmm.
tactics. Slow as all sin, tactical 6, terrain dash 12, cross country 14, road dash 16, cross 3 plus.
Hmm.
It's got a 47, which is we talked about it before, range 24,
Same as the sun
217, 4
was, yeah,
plus
but
overworked.
overworked, yeah.
And then we have the 75, which does not have a moving rate of fire, 20 inches, halted rate of fire 2, anti-tank 6, firepower 3 up, forward firing secondary weapon. So you will take the penalty of shooting it.
Hmm. Yeah,
So it's +1 to hit on anything because it's a secondary weapon. But that's a lot of firepower per tank.
it
A
is.
lot of scary firepower per tank.
Yeah, I think because the fact the actual gun is in a fixed mount rather than the Grant where it's on like is on its own pivot. The
Right.
driver has to do all the work lining it up, so you can't you can't move and shoot with it, not effectively. And I was surprised it's the actual secondary weapon. Normally, like I said, with Grant, the whole 75 is your main gun. I'm guessing because it was so limited in its arc, it just made the turret the main weapon, and then you just use a 75 and would dig people out, basically.
Right.
Mhm.
A more assault tank of sorts, like an assault gun built into this tank.
It's got a top armor for an assault tank, but it only hits on fives in
Oh yeah.
assault, and it only
Oh yeah, we
counterattacks in five. So it's
forgot to go. We forgot to mention this. Front armor 6, side and rear 4, top armor 2.
yeah, it's basically like a Sherman with an extra bit of armor on the top, in terms as to armor stat.
I mean, as far as early warrior goes, this thing's basically a tiger tank. It's massive.
Hmm.
Big armor, big gun, slow and ponderous.
Slow and ponderous,
Yeah.
but very hard for the Germans to kill. That resulted into an 88.
Yeah, you get them in twos or threes. They are not cheap.
They're not cheap, and because they're only confident, going with a two tank platoon is always going to be a little too dicey, in my opinion.
Right. I don't think we're ever actually going to see a whole Char B1 company. Uh,
No, I think you probably maybe get the HQ and the first platoon, and then, like you say, you bulk out with the Hotchkisses.
or the Renaults or the
So,
R35s.
yeah, so looking at the Renault, it's basically, you know what's even slower than the H35? The Renault. It's tops out a 12-inch road dash. Basically, it's yeah, cross country and road dash are the same at 12 inches. It's got the same 37 millimeter as the early H35s. It's just basically a slower version of the
It's
H35.
also front armor 3, side armor 3, top armor 1.
Yeah,
Uh,
oddly, it's the same points, even though it's slower. Well, same points as
is it the same? It can't possibly be
yeah.
the same
Scroll
points.
down. Look at the H35 next. They're both the same points.
It's the same points, but one of those three gets an AT5 gun. It is worse than the H35 in every way possible.
Well, the H35 is Oceanic Tank 4.
Right, right, but you get one of them mandatory. That's also
Not no. If you
anti-tank
look,
5.
not the Char B. If you look at the chart, there's a separate. If you scroll down, there's a separate Hotchkiss for their
Oh,
yeah. So
I
your
was
option.
looking at the Samwa Hotchkiss.
Yeah,
I apologize.
I worked out.
Yeah,
Yeah. So in the char in the Char B, the sort of the battalion de char de combat, as it were, Western in the French. All the tanks are in a maximum of threes, even the light tanks. And so your options are basically three Renault R35s or three Hotchkiss H35s, all with 37s, or two Hotchkiss H39 with short 37 and one with long 37, or three H39s, all with long 37s in different versions of troops. The first
yeah,
two, the H35s and the R35s, are the same points. But after that, it gets like 1 point more expensive, depending on how many more guns you put in.
yeah. I don't see a world where anyone ever runs an R35.
Historical accuracy would be the only reason I think he was doing it. If you
Well,
can get away with wearing a Hotchkiss, you're going to get with a Hotchkiss.
like even from like a collection standpoint, you can take those Hotchkisses and put them in different formations. If I'm not mistaken, the R35 only exists in this Char B formation.
Might I seem to call the Renault pops back in later, but maybe it's a different Renault. Put a pin in that. I think it might came back to haunt us yet.
Mm.
If I'm just going across the sea. I could have sworn there's a Renault something that pops up in one of the armored car unit.
Oh, joy.
No, it pops up. No, it's not the Renault armored car. It pops up. Maybe it's yes. Ah, no, I apologise. That is the AMR 30R recon platoon. Not it's not the
Ah.
Renault. So no, anytime you go see it, is if you take it as a black box unit. Why? Or if you're playing this formation. So yes,
So what we're
probably
looking at so far is every French player should have like 15 Hotchkiss tanks.
and some
Uh,
was and a few
well,
Charbys.
actually, probably like more like 20 because you'd have to build them in different versions unless you're really good at. Is it just a turret swap?
I don't know, I haven't seen the sprue yet, and I'm presuming it's the same hull, same gun. So whether the H35 has a different hull because it's a different engine deck, I don't know. And I'm going to presume they all have the same turret and you
I'm
just change
looking
the
at
gun
the.
out.
If you look at page 81, I'm looking at the H35 and 39 side by side, and there's like a
Mhm.
little bit extra.
Yeah, so it might be a slight engine deck difference. And once I see the sprue, I'll know for sure. But yeah, that little page that shows both of them side by side.
That video will come on this channel eventually. Lee will
Mhm.
do his unboxing of that.
I mean, yeah, we also have now seen the infantry sprues that has popped up. So we will talk about that when we start looking at the two-player boxes later.
Speaking of infantry,
Yes,
this I can never say this word correctly.
Chasseurs Company.
Chasseurs,
Chaz.
chasseurs.
We apologise now. Like I say, neither of us are
Yeah.
native French speakers.
Yeah.
But these are basically the carrier-borne light infantry, effectively. So they are riding around in the Lorraine carriers, which were basically a sort of as an artillery tractor, but they put an armored trailer in the back to carry more infantry, and you could carry a squad between the few guys in the main bit, and then six more guys in the trailer. And these are, like I say, one of the first fully tracked APCs you'll see, except
We'll
in the
talk.
when we try to do it with the Willy boys in the World War One.
We'll talk about them when we get to the command cards. They're not
Hmm.
actually in the book. The Lorraine carriers are command
No, we
cards.
do. We get you get yeah. There's a preview of the command card in the book. It just showed the stats and everything, but we will cover in more detail in the actual episode. Yeah.
So these guys are confident, trained, aggressive, no
Yep.
modifiers of any type.
No, I
Uh,
don't think any of the command card alter them. I think that's maybe the proper rifles rather than Chasseurs.
I just meant like no 5-up tactics,
Oh,
no.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Straight, confident, trained, aggressive. Yeah.
Yep. You get two rifle teams as your HQ. You have the option of adding a 60 mil mortar,
Hmm.
which is an actual proper range 32 artillery, anti-tank 1, firepower 4 up, assault 5 heavy weapon
Basically the
on strat
same
60 mil mortar.
as one we've already seen in the American force, because if I remember right, the American one is a license build of this mortar. So unsurprisingly,
That
its weapon stats are
sounds
pretty.
correct.
Yes, but yeah,
Uh,
formation wise, like you say, two platoons mandatory. Third one can be more chasseurs or the trucked motor fusiliers platoon, make it a bit cheaper if I remember right. Slightly bigger squad. We'll get onto that in a second. Um, 81 mil mortars, and then up to 225 millimeter anti-tank platoons.
yeah, so if you want to squeeze in, some anti-tank guns, this is not a bad spot for it.
Mhm.
The platoon, you either get they come in 8 or 6, either 7 MG teams, and then the VB rifle grenade team, which is
Mhm.
I is this better than the British light mortar?
I'd say so, mainly because it's got rate of fire 2, whereas a British light mortar is rate of fire 1 slow firing.
Right. So
You got
16
four
inch
guys
range.
spanking out rifle grenades, basically.
Yeah.
No smoke
Two
though.
halted, one moving, two anti-tank, four up firepower, overhead fire, so you can even
Hmm.
if you run up, you just leave them in the back and they can shoot clean over.
Yeah.
You get one stand of those, you get either 7 or 5 MG teams, and they're not a lot of points. It's about a point a stand, and man, just solid infantry for not that many points with a lot
Hmm.
of dice of firepower.
Yeah. Like so, VBs be very handy for dealing with Germans in a building or trying to take out a heavy machine gun like a light mortar. And because it's rate of fire 2, it's a lot more effective on the move than a light mortar. Sorry, just to correct myself slightly. The actual Fusiliers platoon is basically the same composition as the Chasseurs. I think what
Oh,
matters is what command cars for what the carrier is to basically carry them around. Not that should actually come up. Um, yeah, 25 millimeter, not a bad
yeah.
little gun. Um,
20-inch range, rate of fire halted 2, moving 1, anti-tank 6, firepower 5 up, forward firing, no HE.
yeah, but it's fair for dealing with tanks, and it's cheap enough that I could have this and have some 75 millimeters, which are much more better there for dealing with dug-in infantry.
Yeah, it's just I think I don't mind anything about this unit except the 5 up firepower.
Hmm.
Firepower in early war is criminally lacking.
Yeah, and obviously with Germans having protected ammo, but if you don't kill them, they will get back in. So, but as something to put mix in with the infantry to basically stop, acts as a point defense gun against an assault, adequate and cheap, very cheap. I mean,
V
4 of them are 5 points. It's
Very affordable.
mhm.
So then let's talk about motor fusiliers since this was in the formation.
Yeah, and like I say, the actual platoons are more or less the same. What really changes is the actual formation itself.
Uh, the HQ still has that potential to buy a mortar for a
Hmm.
point, and
Yeah,
I think like if you got a leftover point, why waste your point on lucky when you can have a mortar that you can fail every turn of the game?
yeah. But one turn it'll pin someone, and then it will justify its
Well,
point. 1 point is spent on it.
actually, if you think about it, that's a third command stand, so you can split them up even more and cover more.
Yeah.
You would get the ore off that mortar team. I don't see why you wouldn't.
Ironically, if for some reason it has moved up with your HQ and you lose both your HQ and 2IC, Fisk can still be the formation commander. Um, in terms of actual differences to the actual Chasseurs row, you're basically looking at do you get a machine gun platoon, which Chasseurs don't have. Um,
You have
you,
the
you,
option of buying machine guns in the platoons.
yep, correct. Yeah, sorry, and
Hmm.
and that's interesting because actually, as a little preview, the infantry sprue has all the sort of stuff like spec for squads and the 6mm for light mortar. The sprue also has one of the 81 millimeter mortars and one of their HMGs. So
Hmm,
that means you're always going to have your HMG upgrade as long as you have the sprue for doing the platoon.
that's nice.
Yeah, the British do the same thing, but it's less used for the British because you can't buy a machine gun in the platoon. Um, you keep the 81 millimeter mortar option and the 25 millimeters, but now they can have the porty version as well. But what you do gain is 2 recce boxes.
Yes,
Um,
the AMR 35 and the Hotchkiss H39.
yeah. The Hotchkiss H39 I've always seen, except for now it gains Scout and Spearhead and it's slightly more pricey because of that. But you also have the AMR 35, which is an armored one box basically that's got a decent turn speed at anything over tactical, because tactical is still 8. And it's basically armed with a machine gun and a 50 cal. It's like, well, slightly bigger than 50 cal, 13.2 millimeters. I love weird French calibers, and 13.2 millimeter lives up to that.
It's unfortunately worse than a 50 cal because it's halted and moving is 2.
Yes.
A 50 cal you'd have 3 shots on the unhalted.
Hmm. Yeah, that
And
extra
and 4
extra
more inches of
centimeter
range,
is
I
not
want to
buying
say.
anything.
What can I say? John Browning made a hell of a machine gun.
He did.
It is worth noting that the recon guys are confident green aggressive.
Oh, yes, good point. Not trained.
Yeah. Uh, you don't suffer methodical, so you don't do tactics on the 6-up. But your counterattack and last stand is fives,
Hmm.
which is kind of rough. Also, the Hotchkisses you can like cheap out and have them all the regular, or you could spend, I think, too many points on getting one of them into a long 37.
Yeah, because compared to what else we've seen, yeah, normally that to get to go from like one long to having all three long is like a point. But apparently
Yeah.
here they go from three short to having two short and one long. It's a 2 point upgrade. So it's a bit of a weird point breakdown there. But I mean, these are recce. They shouldn't. You don't really need the extra long gun. They're just there to find the enemy and maybe then go harass some artillery or something. So
And a thing to point out with the AMRs,
mhm.
uh, you'll get a split of some of them will have regular machine guns and some of them will have, 48 cal machine guns.
Yes.
And the Hotchkisses only come in threes. The AMRs come in 3 and 5. So
Mhm.
if you buy the 50% more expensive one, you go from 3 tanks with 2 MGs and 150 cal to 3 MGs and 250 cals.
Yeah. I probably still the speed is nice on the AMRs. I think I probably still prefer the Hotchkiss, so but only slightly slower and they got more armor.
Uh,
But you
I
are paying more
mean,
points. Mm,
I would never trust the Hotchkiss to do any kind of anti-tank thing. So just having AMRs that are faster going around and machine gunning
true.
Germans.
Yeah. Yeah, that
There is
13.2 will
there is
still do quite
certainly
nicely
the
versus
the
half
loss of
tracks.
armor.
Hmm.
You know, 3-3-1 versus one all around. So it's a personal taste thing, but the AMRs will definitely run you fewer points. 5 AMRs is cheaper than 3 Hotchkisses.
Yeah. Just looking back on the 25 millimeter Lafley, it's basically a porty, much like you see like British in the desert. The truck only moves 8-inch tactical and it's a 4+ save. There's no gun shield save here. I I think I'd just stick with the actual dismounted gun. I really I really struggle with the porties.
Yeah, they cost the same number of points.
They do, but I don't think you're getting enough of a mobility gain to make up for the lower save effectively. And in fact, you can't be dug in.
Or gone to ground. Oh no, you
Uh,
can go gone to ground, but
Maybe one. You have got two boxes, so maybe
yeah.
one of each might be a way forward. And having it could be handy as either something in reserve or as an ambush where you can then move to deal with something.
And then the 81 mil mortars, you've seen them before, anti-tank one, firepower 4-up, smoke bombardment. We've seen these.
Yeah,
They exist everywhere.
it is. And like I say again, I think the American 81 millimeter was a license build, the French one, so nothing too atypical there.
Hmm.
Same as machine gun, it's your standard 24 range 24, um, rate of fire 6 kind of machine gun. There's nothing spectacular about it. It does the job.
It does the job. Speaking of doing the job, behold the glory of the Panhard AMD reconnaissance squadron.
Yeah.
Uh, Man, uh, I know they've really tried to rein in Recce here.
Hmm.
But these things are kind of like tanks.
I mean, they're always back in version 3, they were always something that people would tend to spam out because they were quite nasty. I mean, they got a decent armor for early war, for armor 2, Simon 1. They've got a decent main gun with 25 millimeter, so same as you've seen with the dismount version. Rate of fire 2, anti-tank 6, firepower 5, no HE. It's
They
still
come with 3 dice of machine guns.
always handy.
You
But
can
obviously,
take them from 3 to 5.
yeah, but they are confident green aggressive,
Yes.
matching what was just saw with the Recce tanks.
I do think like you will have if you want to take a full squadron of these things, you are definitely paying light tank prices, unless you want to really max this out here, you're paying half your list
Yeah,
to run 21 of these things. So, you know,
they look so sexy. They are sexy, sexy armor cars. I mean, it's nice to look at armor car you get until Daimler appears in mid-war.
yeah, I mean, they're fun clown cars.
Hmm.
When we
You
do
can,
when we do the clown car list for Flames of War, these guys are definitely going on this.
I mean, when it comes to clown cars, the Schneider AMD you get as a command card is definitely looks like a clown car. It's basically a half track, um, which is horrible, but we do get a little preview of the card here. There's little to recommend for it though. It's more, did you buy the Resident Metal in version 3? Then here's a card so you can at least use it.
I will say, Lee, if you look at the left card right above where it says Panhard AMD, it says your force may only include one reconnaissance squadron of any type.
Yeah. So take the pan arts.
Yeah, so just to be incredibly clear,
Mhm.
Battlefront is done with us spamming Recce
As they should, so at long
as
last.
as
So
they should.
yeah. And I think the fact that the price of the actual platoons also largely stops them being used as delivery systems as well. You know, taken,
Yes.
yeah,
Also, I don't think anyone has like that killer support only thing like the British do with the crocodiles and the
correct.
Avries that you want to just be like, how can I get these on the field?
I mean, yeah, closest thing would be like Germans just trying to spam out bunker flaks, but yes.
But yeah, but that's it. But we've looked at the bunker flax, and
Hmm.
I think if you're really like crippling your list to spam a bunch of those, you're gonna be in for a bad time.
Yes. Um,
Uh,
yeah, next up, the actual rifle company.
Rifle company. Look at that. That's a lot of rifle platoons, and then stuff we've seen before, and then a 25 mil anti-aircraft platoon.
Yeah, not often you see in formation anti-aircraft for rifle for an infantry formation. So that's quite nice to see, especially all those Stukas.
No, I mean, if
Almost,
you think about it from the French perspective, they go, okay, we're going to put a rifle company in a bunch of trenches and in place positions. They'll have some machine guns, some mortars, some
mhm.
anti-tank guns, and AA guns. Like, it's all just going to sit here.
Yeah, and
So it makes sense.
that AA gun, but as we'll cover a bit later, basically has exactly the same anti-tank stats as its anti-tank version, just with a higher rate of fire.
Yes, it's low key much better.
And well, it's only got a 4+ save as well, which does go a little against it. But yeah. But other than that, like I say, the platoons are slightly smaller, if I'm right. I think that we were just saying the other ones were 7 and 5. Yeah, 7 MG teams.
Yes.
Here it's
Uh,
only 5 rifle MGs and then a VB. Or sorry, 6 rifle MGs and then a VB, or five
right.
rifle MGs and a VB.
And the HQ still has that 60 mil mortar
Does, yep,
option.
yep. Definitely worth taking. A little bit of
Hmm.
harassment fire.
And then you can buy an HMG for each of these guys.
Mm,
But yeah, they're rifle MG teams. We've seen these before. Confident, trained, aggressive.
yeah. I think the rifles are more interesting in that the command cars they can use, like say, do colonial troops become fearless? Do territorial star forces, and also the UE carrier, which is basically a supply vehicle. It can carry infantry, but also you can discard them to basically make your mortars count as twice amount of mortars firing, which can be quite handy, or give an extra shot to each of your machine guns.
That being said, you get three of them, and they're passenger one. So realistically, only your HQ would ride around in them.
Yeah, yeah. It's more for like say the supply aspect. And there's no
Uh,
machine, unlike Lorraine carriers, it's got no machine gun, so a purely a passive boost basically. But you put a couple next to your mortar and one next to your machine guns, and yeah. And then we get to our French wild card.
well, hold on. We still oh no
That's it. That's all
we
the
oh
formations.
the anti-aircraft is not on this page.
No, it's on the AA section. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, the wild card.
Yeah, there's a wild
Uh,
card. Hey, we're moving on.
should I go get a drink while you ran for 20 minutes or
Well, I'm not going to rant too much. Again, these things existed.
it
They
did
were they existed. They were not quite at the front. The French basically used them made for propaganda. They were close to the front line. Then the French panicked and tried to get them out of the way of the front line, and then basically they got caught on the trains. So they could have been, if they could have been used in combat. Now, whether you want to, and I can see why the French are a propaganda thing, it's got less armor than a Char B. It's only front armor four, side armor four. It's far better at doing assaults though. Top armor two. Um, it's got assault three plus because of the rear
It's got
MG.
that rear machine gun, yeah.
It's basically a whole separate turret at the back. It's underselling it a little bit, saying it's a rear machine gun.
It's got a 2-up cross.
And it's confident 4 plus, so it's better. It hasn't got counterattack 5 plus like the Char Bs do.
Yeah.
So it is a quite handy little breakthrough tank. And the 75 millimeter is in the turret, and it's a high velocity 75. So you're anti-tank 9, so it's much better at busting tanks.
Yeah. Range 20, rate of fire 2-1, anti-tank 9, firepower 3-up with direct fire smoke.
Yeah. So again, it's not the most, bit like the German one, it's not the most heinous of wildcards because it was fair, albeit it never saw combat because the French kind of did about whether they actually wanted to see combat or not.
Uh, Also, not too much more expensive than the Char B1. So depending on what you want, if you're only taking one unit of Chars, might not be bad from a gameplay perspective.
Yeah.
People likely will mock you, but if you're trying to win tournaments, this might be a viable one drop reserve option here.
I'll mildly mock you because again, like I say, they were there, albeit there were never huge numbers of them. I'd probably still say a TO should block the wildcard units.
They certainly didn't terrorize Norwegians.
No.
That makes them worse than the German. Someone from Norway is going to come and get me.
I know it's quite far.
They descend from Vikings. They will find me, Lee. Leif Erikson found America. They will find me in California.
Across the ocean, stop via Nova Scotia, yep, and come down. Still quite a way though. Move to our support units. Renault FTs are just, oh dear, they're definitely last war's hangover. But they're on the one box, so that's not a bad start in the early war.
Confident, trained, aggressive. They are methodical. You're taking that hit on tactics.
Well, 6-inch tactical speed, and road dash, your best speed never. Well, your train dash, cross country dash, and road dash all the same, 8 inches. You can
be a 3-up cross though, which is shockingly competent.
Hey, it's designed an era where I had to cross trenches and stuff. You know, so
they come in 2 flavors. They come in MG or 37 mils, which we've seen before. Range 20, 2-1, 4 plus overworked.
Yeah, not the same thing. You can't have a machine gun in without a 37 millimeter. So you've one or the other. Yeah, but they are cheap. They do. I do like the FT. You can see this time when someone actually sets what is a tank thereafter. The FT-17 when it first appears.
It's a fun looking little funny tank. It was left over, and they went, well, what are we gonna do? Throw them out, not throw them out and lose the war, throw them out and lose the war. Well, might as well try.
Why not both? But what I hope is now by putting this back in, we do see retconned into mid-war for doing Sicily. Like I say, they were knocking around on Sicily with their Italians, basically.
Oh, don't worry. That will show up in the mid-war Italy book. That is definitely happening. I understand it was in the video. I still don't believe Pete's going to deliver it to us.
Well, we got a late war Italian booking, but he did mention we haven't got mid-war and Sicily, so I'm curious how that manifests. But next is the Lafley TCC. This is basically take the 47 millimeter anti-tank gun you're going to see in a minute. Mount on the truck.
It's better than the other porties that we saw inside formations. This one actually has a gun that's worth shooting.
Yep, still no HE, but it's anti-tank 9, firepower 4 plus.
Yeah, and range 28, which is, I think, the best range we've seen so far in the
It's on par with it's basically a early war 6-pounder. In terms of its stats, it's no HE as well, bizarrely.
And it comes with a machine gun.
It comes with a machine gun. Thankfully, what it doesn't come with, back in version 3, these were armor 0 all the way around, which made, which against machine guns made them halfway decent. Here they're just a 4 plus save, which does make them slightly less terrorizing than they were in version 3.
Right, but you can get these in 3, 4s, or 5, so you can concentrate a lot of firepower with these guys.
And yeah, considering the actual Toad version of the gun only comes in 2s, as we'll see in a
Yes.
minute, it's a good way of massing anti-tank power. And again, 515 points, not terrible. Good ambush unit, in fact, I'd say.
Yeah, 2 of them, good ambush unit. They're
Mhm.
that tactical. I understand it's an anti-tank gun and a tactical, but like, man,
Yeah, but like I say, it's you're trying. It's a rear-firing gun. It's always going to be hard to actually bring that to bear in terms of moving it around and shooting it.
that is fair. Uh,
The Toad
so we have
version basically benefits from being a 3 plus save, but has a hindrance. It's a 2-gun platoon. And then you have the option of the 75mm version, which takes 2 of
yes.
those 75mm. They can't fire artillery. They are purely anti-tank, but they're 3 plus without the no HE rule, so much more flexible as almost like an
Uh,
infantry gun role.
they are shorter range. They're only range 20.
Yeah, yeah, they are.
They are slightly more expensive than the 47s.
So just a point.
Mhm.
But they don't, even though they're exactly the same gun, they don't have the large gun rules, so they can actually ambush at close range.
Also true.
Hmm.
Same thing with the 47. So depending on your where you think your ambush zones are, how aggressive you're being,
Hmm.
the 47 and the 75 aren't a million miles off.
No.
Uh, so the 47 artillery battery,
Hmm.
uh, confident veteran aggressive.
Yep.
Hey, here's some veteran French stuff. And these are the guys who get quick fire. So these are the nightmares.
Yeah.
Uh,
One thing I just realised that quickfire also works with smoke. Oh no, it
oh,
doesn't because it only counts as reroll. It only says about re-rolling hits. It
oh
doesn't
yeah,
actually
this is
mean
about
you
rerolling. This is
actually
about
count as
ranging
two
it. Yeah,
guns, do you? Yeah. So yeah,
I was like, oh, double
double with
smoke.
smoke. But no,
Oh,
they've
that
already
doesn't make
thought of
any
that.
sense.
No, no, yeah.
But yeah, these things have in really good indirect range 64
Hmm.
artillery, anti-tank 2 4-up firepower, forward firing smoke bombardment. That same direct fire from before, range 20, 2 1 9 3 plus, forward
Hmm.
firing smoke. So having a bunch of these scattered around your deployment is also a great point defense against the inevitable horde of German tanks.
Hmm.
Enough firepower to actually put them down.
Yeah, I mean they aren't cheap though. I mean they're not expensive, but they aren't cheap either. Basically about the same as 25 pounds are in mid-war. But yeah, I think a French player's gonna have at least one platoon of these guys.
I mean, so 4 is twice as many points as 2 of them. Would you go one unit of 4, or would you go 2 of 2?
I think I'd still go with 4. I think I I mean 2 for 2, and like say you have your re-roll, you're not having the penalty. The problem is if you did get hit by counter battery and you lose one unit, you're on morale check and you're only confident.
Sure, but also you're spreading a lot of anti-tank around if you're doing it
And
that
smoke
way.
as well.
And smoke.
So I don't know. I think I'd probably still go with a 4-gun battery. But I could see an argument for doing else otherwise.
All right, now
But
we're getting to the really tasty artillery.
mhm,
The 105 howitzer battery.
yeah.
Confident, veteran, aggressive. The 105 howitzer is a 72-inch range artillery with anti-tank 3, firepower 3,
Yep.
forward firing smoke bombardment, direct fire 20-inch, rate of fire 1 no matter what you're doing, AT7 firepower 2 up, brutal forward firing, slow firing, and smoke.
Hmm. Cheaper as well because it has not paid the points for that quick fire ability.
Yep.
I like the fact you can have this. You can have two platoons of the 75s and then one platoon of either of these two flavors 105s, and have this just providing a little bit of extra firepower to help 75s out. Um, on the other hand, I do like on the other one, the 105 gun, effectively rather than howitzer. It's got longer range, which on 6x4 boards is by the by, but you do have an 8 tank 9 firepower too.
Yes.
So
And you
I'm a bit rate of fire one.
you
Lose the smoke though. You do lose the
you lose the
smoke.
smoke on the direct.
Yeah,
Oh, actually, you lose smoke. Period. Even you don't get indirect smoke with these.
correct. Yeah. Yeah, howitzers obviously have smoke. The guns are more there for count. Traditionally, in sort of World War II, guns were used for counter battery fire against other artillery, and howitzers were used for the actual support stuff.
The infantry OP specifically calls out the
So it's OP.
75 artillery, 105 howitzer, 105 artillery.
Yeah.
So you got to spring for the big boy real uh, artillery guns to get what you want.
Unlike the Germans, mortars aren't going to cut it here. Yeah. Uh,
Uh, 25 mil anti-aircraft platoon. So this is the standard gun version that you see in the rifle company.
mhm,
Range 20, rate of fire 3 halted, 2 moving, anti-tank 6, firepower 5 up, dedicated AA.
mhm.
So even if theoretically the Stuka shows up, you can start smacking those things out of the sky.
If I'm playing French rifles, I'm taking one of these in formation, definitely. Now, yeah, there's a point more expensive than the equivalent number of the anti-tank gun, and it's 4 plus save on 3 plus save. But even if you're just using an anti-aircraft roll for dealing with Stukas, I mean, five. The problem is the 5 plus firepower. Because the amount of times with AA, I've hit somebody and the 5 plus firepower is not converted to firepower roll. That's somewhat galling. But if I do shoot one down, brilliant. Otherwise, I'm just there's an anti-tank gun, and that's a rate of fire free anti-tank gun. That's pretty handy.
Yes. And then we have the 75 mil self-propelled anti-aircraft platoon.
More World War One stuff that's just been knocking around in the storage depot.
I mean, like,
It's chitty chitty bang bang with a
it
hard
is
on.
chitty chitty bang bang with a 75 mil auto cannon on the back. It
Hmm.
is the child snatcher is gonna catch hands with this thing rolls up.
Yeah.
The movement is atrocious. 6 tactical, 8 terrain, 14 cross country, 36 road dash, 5 up cross check. No moving rate of fire.
Well, it's because these big jacks has to put down each time it
Yeah,
moves. Yeah.
I'm sorry. When you see the picture of the thing, this thing is like in scale 5 feet off the goddamn ground on these jacks. It's massively in the air.
And unsurprisingly, it counts as gigantic, so you can't do a short ranged ambush for these things.
Well, I
But
mean, it's range 28. You can still ambush these things and be in range.
and Anti Tank 9 firepower free, even its long range, has not made tanks are going to benefit from that range boost on their
Yeah.
armor.
And also self-defense AA, just in case they send Stukas to come get them.
And that's handy because the firepower free plus means as long as you do land that hit, far more likely to actually kill the Stuka.
Yeah, they're scary. They're a thing that like if you've popped them out of ambush, you got 4 of them, and you're like, well, I control the center of this entire board now. Your opponent might be tempted to try and Stuka dive bomb them, and will probably get their asses shot down.
Yeah. But yeah, that is the French, apart from, like, say, the cars, which we'll look at. It's I know Mark is saying that he thinks the French are going to be the go-to for the actual most people. I think that's not unfair. I think they have a very good balance of both cost effectiveness and the actual stats from
I
being,
think the Samoa is going to be like a big point of like, wow, you can have not dog shit tanks and a reasonable number of them.
yeah, yeah. I think the subscript. I think that's somewhat is going to be a very tasty thing for most people. I do. I mean, obviously they're aggressive, so the casualties are going to mount up, but most of the tanks can afford that. It's only really the infantry are going to suffer from that as an issue. Um,
Yeah, but
yeah,
also like as far as armor goes, these things are these boys are tough.
Yeah, tough as hard nails, yeah.
Mhm.
So what if you're gonna do French, what would you field out of these two?
I am I am a fool. I would still run a Char B1 company. I would only have one actual platoon of three Char B1s, and then I
Right.
would, just jam a bunch of Hotchkisses in. But what man doesn't want to roll four giant, who doesn't want to run four Tiger tanks down the middle of the board and going, try me, I dare you.
That's true. If I mean, I'm going for the Sunwars just 'cause I really do love those Sunwars. They
I
are.
like those Somwas too, especially the ones that look eerily like Sherman tanks. But
Mhm.
uh
What I'm curious to see though with the Char B is whether it has the bits for doing the flamethrower variant for late war and the captured German ones that we use as flamethrower tanks. That'd be interesting to see.
Lee Battlefront made them plastic. I don't
Oh,
know how far
plastic?
they're willing. They
Ooh.
must be.
Well, I don't know because not everything's plastic. So I was kind of
Oh, I think they made such a big show and song and dance of these things that they'd have to be plastic.
yeah, you wouldn't stack these things if you weren't going to be
Yeah,
doing.
look, you want to tell me the Renault R35s are resin and metal? I would believe you.
Right, so I'm just looking at the French range, which again, I'm relying on Firestorm's website, and for some reason, it's got a very clunky way of doing
I
things.
would love for Battlefront to send us the catalog.
I know, I did ask about it. Right, so the infantry are obviously plastic. The anti-tank guns are not plastic.
Oh, really?
Well, it didn't say. Well, it didn't say. Yeah, it didn't say plastic for either the 47 or the 25.
Hmm.
Um, the 75 millimeter is also not listed as plastic. That's interesting because I thought that would be. Um, Somewhat Panhard. So Somewhat's are plastic. Panhards are not. The Laffleys, you can buy a box of Laffleys in one box, but again, they're not plastic. Um,
I'm also
um,
tempted by the motor fusiliers.
yeah, both
Uh,
the Renault R35 and the Renault AMR are both resin and metal. The Hotchkiss is plastic, and the Char B is plastic. Yeah,
Victory!
yeah, along the Sunwar. Well, that's
I mean,
interesting.
the Hotchkisses were the most obvious. Like, we have to make them plastic, or else we need like triple the resin
Yeah.
molds for slight variations. Like, uh-huh.
Hmm. Yeah. All right, so we're going to the tier list. Yes, that's what's next, isn't it?
Yes.
How
Everyone's
can I forget the tier list?
favorite.
That's what people come for. He says, trying to find a picture of the box kit.
So, uh, last time we decided to put the Germans into solid starter.
Hmm.
Uh, we had some confusion about Panzer ones. We're not going over the German episodes comments yet. We're a little behind on those, but someone did mention that the Panzerjägers either build Panzerjägers or Bisons. And I think that's a point in its favor because if you're like, oh, I don't want two AT guns, you can get two Bisons, which, if I'm not mistaken, is what they come in.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, we said it was a way of buying it in that to fill it out. There's a prize the box doesn't do all of them, but I'm guessing they just try to balance it out with their must be a different top hole or something like that. So they have to do a separate sprue or something.
Mm.
Either way, though, they're all plastic. That's the main thing.
So Lee, why don't you tell us what comes in this box?
Right. So what we get, it's and now I've double checked what I was going to say. I am going to stick my opinion about it. Um, it's basically a Char B1 tank company. So we have five Char Bs, which basically make one HQ tank and two platoons of two Char B1s.
Cringe.
Yeah, we then get the three Hotchkiss tanks to make up another platoon. So it's a four platoon formation, which is okay, but like I say, with two tank platoons. We then get formation support from both the rifle infantry, because there's only seven stands, of which one will be the VBs,
Right.
and then three Sommoirs, again taken from support choice. So
Mm,
I mean, I said earlier, yes, you could take the Chars in twos, but I just think them being a confidence can make it a very risky move. And yet
yes.
here we are, a whole box is based on that tire
Well,
scenario.
Battlefront can't help themselves.
No,
They they had to screw somebody over with two tank platoons, and they went for an infantry box for the British, so they
yeah.
they had to stick it to the French, I guess.
For one thing, I'll say in its favor is you can buy one box Char B1s, and then that'll basically reinforce those four tanks into two platoons of three, and then have it giving them three tanks. But as we discussed earlier, you're never going to run a HQ and three platoons of three Char
They're
B1s.
so comedically expensive. I mean, honestly, I think what you need is like two more boxes of Hotchkiss tanks
Yeah, I'd
to
almost
fix this because you go
drop, drop,
one platoon
drop.
of three,
Yeah, drop that one
one
that extra
yeah,
Char, put it aside, and like say, put the Hotchkisses in. Yeah.
yeah.
Only problem you got there is Hotchkisses come in fives. So you get an extra platoon for a box, and you have these two Hotchkisses just sitting around doing nothing. It's a very hard box to expand on.
Well, here's the thing though with the Hotchkisses is you buy five and then
Yep.
you do need to build some longs
Hmm.
and then you need some shorts. So it's
Gives you some options. Yeah, you could play it that way, but
you could buy that and have it set up so that like okay, yes, I can stick them in my Char formation, or if I run a Somua formation, then I can run some more tanks. So it's not the worst thing in the world.
it's
Uh
not. But it's a lot of waste. It's still wastage, even if it's wastage. It's on a situational basis.
yeah.
I
How many come in a box of Samuas?
five.
Okay, yeah. Man, I'm just
Yeah, it's fair. This is very much a British starter box.
I'm
It's
sorry. I
because
want to love this box, but Battlefront has made it very hard to do so.
because again, like the classic British starter box, you've just got a weird mix of tanks. We didn't need a weird mix of tanks, and you're getting that weird mix by running units of two.
If we
And
had three um more Hotchkisses instead of
the Sun
the
was,
Samoas,
yeah,
I might have let this go to like a flawed choice.
I think so. I think at that point, like I said, the problem is it's difficulty expanding it.
Yes. Okay, hold on, Lee.
I was just looking at the new two-player starter to see if that saved it. And it kind of does. If you go for that new two-player starter and take the French part, that gives you five more Sunwars. All right, so again, you could take those Sunwars and run that in the HQ. It gives you three more Hotchkisses. It gives you an extra Hotchkiss platoon,
Hmm.
and it gives you a little bit more infantry. So it does stack, but not in a way that lets you really make.
So what I'm hearing actually is that we run into the classic Death or Glory Squadron box problem, which this actually
Nah, 'cause I still can't think of a better way of building that box.
well, no, but I'm saying is if you buy this and then you get the Dunkirk stuff now, suddenly you have enough Samwas for
Well,
the
that's not
HQ and the thing, and enough Hotchkiss tanks to run not fully, not full
no.
out, but
The Death and Glory box was still self-contained. It was just
that's
we
true.
we just made it how the box should have been.
I was thinking I'm like, what if this was what if this was a Samwa formation instead? Could we? There's just not enough Samwas.
No, you could throw those two boxes together and you would have some options as to how to build an army, but there's still no. It's still a lot of way to try and make that work rather than I don't know.
Yeah, it's
At absolute best, it's an existing collection booster. It gives you the Char Bs and some more bits and pieces, but it's not a very well optimized box.
the French are gonna riot. We've put them in the British
Dude, the
section.
French riot because the champagne's just not fizzy enough. They riot because the day's got a Y in the week. It's just got
Yeah, and their
Y in
bosses
its
are all
name.
afraid of them, as they should be.
There are upsides, but after
But
a while,
yeah,
it just gets tedious.
I love the Char B1. I think it's a big dumb dog of a tank, and I want to hug it.
Yeah,
But this is not a good box. People, if there was like a little more in there, like maybe I could weasel it into existing, but this is a this is the Team Yankee box for the British, just in early war wearing a with a bad French accent and a beret. I can't help it.
It's
There's no
like,
saving it.
did a lower low ever make it across the channel to you guys, across the pond to you guys?
Uh I only know about it because I grew up with Whovians,
Yeah,
and thus they also loved Faulty Towers,
and all that
and
kind of stuff.
I've heard of Allo Allo, but I've never seen it.
No, well, there's a guy. This guy has a very pronounced French accent, and it's a very stereotypical bad French accent,
Yeah,
basically.
doesn't
I
that
was
show take place
pissing by
in
the good.
Paris?
Pardon?
Doesn't that show take place in Paris?
Something like that. Yes, I can't remember
Yeah.
exactly where it is, but yes, it's a cultural thing, which means it's probably not very good and very questionable in this day and age. But I haven't seen it in a while though. But either way, getting back to the subject,
Yeah,
this should have been a some. They should have done a somewhat box, not a somewhat RB box, or something like that. The Char B is always going to be a very hard box to actually pull off correctly. I think you
I
probably
mean,
could
you
have done it
just
by drop.
drop a Sharpie and you add some more Hotchkiss tanks,
Yeah.
and this box could have been good, but I
Hmm.
don't know how Battlefront prices these.
I
I
think it's a
want to like this
sprue
box.
count. Yeah.
I really want to like this box, but I just can't.
I mean, if you could do French anyway, it's
Look,
not
if you
awful.
have no collection
Hmm.
and you're like, I'm just gonna go hard in the paint.
But
If
just
you're a
know you're gonna have to
veteran
buy the
player,
stuff on it. Yeah.
yeah. For some, but again, this tier list is for the from the perspective of somebody who has never bought in,
Hmm.
has never owned Flames of War.
Yeah.
This is a terrible box if you're brand new. If you're like, I've played Flames, I'm excited for early war. I have all
Hmm.
my early war Germans. I was time to blow the hobby budget on early war French. That's not a bad box because it just gives you a bunch of stuff that you need,
Yeah.
but you're just not going to make an army out of just that box.
Yeah. It's basically sitting on a line of British starter box and the system collection booster. But like I say, for the how we do a tier list, that's where it sits.
Yeah,
All right, so another box down. And
right.
as usual, the French steal the British glory by going in first.
Well, also it's kind of hard to knock the Brits when they're like, we brought an infantry company this time. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, the actual British
the thing
boxes.
people actually think is good with the British, the infantry.
Spoilers, the British box is probably not going to be in the British stars.
I guarantee it's not. It actually makes sense.
I think I got an issue with one little bit of it, but probably not enough to stop it. But that's spoilers, and we're getting ahead of ourselves.
We'll deal
Um,
with that next time.
that's Future Lee's problem. Though Future Lee probably will put the pre-order for one of these.
Yeah.
Um,
So
actually,
shall we go over episode 26's comments?
yeah. So if you remember, episode 26 was the last episode of the year when we looked at the Pete's preview, and it got a lot of comments on.
We got 16 comments.
16 comments. So yeah. Starting from the top, Gerald Drake, 3002, a regular contributor to the comment section. So hello. It's Flames War Samurai. You have to play Total War Full of Samurai to get in the right frame of mind.
Uh,
So what referring to
Excellent
there is
game.
the what's the new game called? Volley and Charge?
Yes.
Yeah.
A
So I've
volley
heard
and
of
charge, yes.
yeah. So first one's American Civil War, but they did
Right.
hint at the other
Well, they
periods.
also announced the Crimea War, the Samurai Wars, the American Indian
Franco-Prussian.
Wars, and the Franco-Prussians. I'm insulted. Actually, it's a thing I didn't catch at the time. On the thing it says American Indian Wars from 1873 to 1877. We fought so many Indian wars in the
Yeah,
United States. If
I
you
guess it's
Google how many Indian wars the United States has fought, it's like 100 of them. To
and
be
to be
like, it
fair,
only
some of
happened 73 to 77, that's a bullshit.
I guess it's a particular Indian war, but yeah, say Indian wars makes it sound wrong. And to be
Well,
fair,
we were engaged at multiple of them at once at some
yeah,
point, so you know.
and also just to be a little pedantic, calling some of them wars was a a little overstating it because massacring civilians would probably not be the nice way of calling it. But history books are written by the winners after all.
Uh,
Um, Joe
yeah, Andrew
Clark,
Jackson, terrible fucking president, you know.
not the worst. Woodrow Wilson, I'm looking at you. Um,
Not a tall bar.
Joe Clark, 7214. Falklands British are going to be interesting. Yeah, I'm curious what that book's going to manifest as, that's for sure. Will they bring out the different regiments then? Maybe special forces.
Sorry,
So
did they say they were doing a Falkland Wars, or is this a guess on the mystery book?
it's a guess on the mystery book
Okay.
because I think Pete does mention Falklands when he's talking about it.
Hmm.
But obviously, everything they show is 90s British infantry with SA-80s and Challenger 2. I mean, you take a Challenger to the Falklands, it's going to be up to its turret in the peat bog within seconds. But so everyone's talking about what is the Falklands going to bring because obviously the infantry are there. They won't do command cards, but I'd like to see some modifiers for doing elite regiments like Royal Marines, the Paras, the Gurkhas, the Guards. Those are the guys who are basically make up the bulk of the infantry that are doing the fighting in the Falklands.
So what will the Argentinians have? Is the real question.
Um, so Argentinians would basically end up using the same infantry as the Belgians, albeit in winter gear, because it's all FN FALs, FN mags. They had the fully automatic version of the FN FAL as well.
Right. I
Recoilless,
know they had French Mirage fighters
they had
because
French Mirage fights, but they're
they used the anti-ship missiles on those things
so
and got a couple ships.
the Exocets come were on the Super Etendards, which are the
Ah,
carrier-borne French aircraft. But
okay.
yes, but they're the ones that launched their Exocets to get Coventry and get Atlantic Conveyor.
Mhm.
Um, what's most doing air support for the Argentinians is the Picara, the little twin turboprop, twin seat counterinsurgency aircraft. Quite an interesting aircraft. What it's designed for doing, a bit like Super Tucano, the Brazilians come up with. It's very optimized for doing border patrol counterinsurgency, but they use it because it can take off from Port Stanley Airfield. No, sorry, not Port Stanley. No, it is Port Stanley at that point. Yeah, Mount Pleasant comes later.
I think
Um,
don't the SAS blow them all up on the runway before they can actually do
they
anything though?
they don't take out all of them. They take out a big chunk of them. There's
Hmm.
there's a few air bases that were operating Picaras, and they hit one of them, Pebble Island, and they're very in the classic SAS hit an air base and mess things up kind of way. SAS is actually interesting because they have Stinger missiles. So imagine like a militia, the old militia rules, but also they can fire a Stinger missile once per turn or something in your rear area.
And what kind of vehicles would the Argentinians have? What kind of tanks is Argentina running at this time?
So in the Falklands conflict, they have the Panhard armored cars, but they never leave Port Stanley because, to be fair to the Falklands, it's not very well designed when it comes to infrastructure. It's mostly guys, sheep herders, penguins, and just wide open peat bogs. So the only tanks the British operated were the Scorpions and the Scimitars because they got very good ground pressure. There's a famous story about a tank commander jumping out of his tank and then sinking to his knees in the mud because his ground pressure was actually higher when the tank he was in. Um, but the Panhard armor cars and the LVTs, they like their US Marine Corps operate. They never leave Port Stanley really. They just can't deal with the terrain. So all the Argentinians are basically fixed positions of infantry backed up by mortars, recoilless rifles, all that kind of stuff. So not going to be much in tank-on-tank conflict in the Falklands game. It's really mostly an artillery drill backed up by infantry
I
drilling
mean, I'm
out.
sure Battlefront will go. No, the Panhards were there.
Oh, they're going to
We'll put them in. Yeah,
what
we'll
they'll
put
probably
them in the
do.
book.
There is a very uniquely Argentinian tank. So
Oh,
they had
really?
M4 Shermans. They wanted a new tank to suit. Well, the Shermans I think were largely retired by this point, but
Oh.
what they wanted was a tank that could deal with Argentinian infrastructure. So it couldn't be a heavy tank. It couldn't be like a Leopard even. But what Westerns come up with is a Marder chassis with a lightened Leopard turret, basically with a 105, and it's called the TAM.
Ooh.
I can't remember what that TAM stands for. I think it comes in sort of like mid to late 80s. It's after the Falklands. But
Oh,
when's that ever stopped? You say, oh, when does that ever stop Battlefront?
that's also true. But you're saying it was after the Falklands, which means the Sherman should still be kicking around. Can you imagine fighting Scorpions and Scimitars with a Sherman?
It'd be interesting to
Come on,
fight.
Lee. That's really great.
I mean, that 75 millimeter on the Scorpion will mess a Sherman up quite nicely. Yeah.
Yeah, and the 75 millimeters on the Shermans will also just
Will mess up a scimitar. Yeah, exactly.
right,
Yeah.
right. It's literally like a glass cannon knife fight
Yeah,
situation. That could actually be a really fun game.
they can. I'm trying to remember. I want to say they had M46s as well, but I could be wrong on that. So I remember the Shermans. I just can't remember the Sherman when they got rid of the Shermans if they're still
Well, if
around.
they have M46s, that's less fun because those are actual tanks.
Yeah. But one of the
Like
nice thing is,
it's little recce vehicles versus World War II technology is kind of fascinating.
now I said this, someone like Les Parsons or someone in the comments will actually correct me and tell me what they actually had. And so we're educational in the next episode. It's all good. Um, Burrigan 301 asks on Battlefront's community website, they snuck in the Char B1 formation pages, which have all the stats on them, as well as Renault R35, not the Hotchkiss. Yeah, well,
Well,
obviously we've just gone through it now, but yes,
surprise,
surprise.
3 weeks late.
Yeah. Oh my God, I hate it's someone with a stupidly long username, so I'm going to apologize now if I get this wrong. Tagorennakarnakar. Yeah, I massacred that. I really apologize. I didn't do it in a funny Eddie
Tagarin
way.
Nako Runchai
Konchai?
542. Or
542.
yeah.
They probably haven't put the Japanese in the East Asia book because there'll be another range I have to make. That's true. There's lots of stuff, unique stuff for the JSF. As JSDF mostly used home-built equipment by the 80s. The South Koreans and Taiwanese use a lot more US kit. Yeah, absolutely. And the Koreans still give enough ins for doing unique stuff like the K1s. So yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Cool. Um, Memoron runs again. Another
I
frequent
just want to
commenter.
say just really briefly about that.
Mhm.
God, what was the what was the predecessor to the Type 10? Was it the Type 90?
Well, they're
Uh
on their main battle tanks.
yeah. The Type 90 looks really cool. I want from 1990 to
Oh yeah,
2009 like
yeah. One before.
to
I want to say it's Type 69 before that. I'm trying to remember the
it's
Japanese
either the
tanks.
61 or the 74.
Ah, yes. Okay. I
Man,
might
the
be.
61 is horrific. The 74 looks like a starship.
Well, like I say, they had to sort of rebuild their whole tank building industry, and thankfully they took lessons from everyone else. Yeah, the Type 64 looks it's very rounded. I'll say that much for it. It does looks kind of like a Leopard 1, the original cast turret, but not. The 61 just looks very awkward. It looks kind of like an M47 cross with a Panther.
Yeah, but Mitsubishi made both of these things
Mitsubishi build everything. It's like a
for
classic joke. Go Mitsubishi, I need to buy a new car. Great. I just need, no, so Yamaha. I need to go buy a motorcycle. Yeah, here you are. I just need to buy a synthesizer. Oh, here you go. I just need to buy a main battle tank. You're not going to believe this, but it's like, or maybe that's Dave. Maybe it's Dave. But yeah, Type 90 looks like a Leopard 2 kind of. Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's the thing with Japanese. They could do lots of things to Japanese. They probably will do over several editions of doing that. Here's the actual 80s kit. Next edition. Now here's some 90s kit. Edition after that. Now here's all 2000s kit. But yeah. Um, sorry, where we get to? Yeah, so Memorans Memorans. Again, never frequent commenter, so I apologize. My Christmas travel listen. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you
Merry
too. And a
Christmas.
Happy New Year.
We say a week and a half into January.
Yeah, it still counts. LC, another frequent commentator. Oh, he's actually got two comments. Right, have to go down and read his first comment. Okay. Again, great fun listening to you. Thank you. I'm not a huge Flames of War game anymore. I've never been a huge fan of early war, so I kind of phased out during that part. I was waiting for the Team Yankee Checkpoint Charlie news. Fair. Team Yankee, didn't Pete mention that British and German plastic infantry was on its way last year? He did. This makes me wonder if the Team Yankee book might be a Norfag book. Ooh, that'd be an interesting take. So yes, Pete, when they released the Americans and Soviets, Pete said, and the British and the West Germans won't be too far behind, or something like that.
Yes.
And we're only now seeing the British as a CAD render suggesting that actually they're way behind. Or maybe originally the intent was the plastic British infantry were going to be Carl Gustavs and SLRs and that kind of thing. And they've rejigged it. Don't know. But yes, we now see plastic British infantry. It's interesting to see where the Germans go. I'm now
Yeah.
curious if Germans might now be rocking up with Sort of the old G, not G11s, G41s, whatever. Well, I can't remember what the modern assault rifle is. It looks like a. But
I
yeah,
think the North Hag book is a good guess. I mean, they did show off a big dumb British tank when they showed that off.
hmm.
But I'm just thinking of like what would be the opposite side. It's what North Hag is the
Third,
Poles and the East
well,
Germans.
third shock army, which is largely the T80s and T64s already have, and like you
Yeah,
say, Poles and East Germans. I,
which we already have.
yeah. My thing against that, I like the idea, but the fact it's got to cover the Falklands and 90s British makes me think it's going to be an entirely British book. But I'd be happy to be wrong. Checkpoint Charlie, I was surprised that the French were missing on the physical book release of Checkpoint Charlie. There's quite a few missing
Yeah,
especially the AMX-13 would have been a prime model to make a plastic version since there's so many variants, starting of course with the basic MX-13, so MX-13 is a resin kit at the moment, but yes, a plastic MX-13 would make a lot of sense. The version additional SS-11, the Mark 61 self-propelled howitzer, but AA, which again is a resin kit, and the APC version, and even maybe a 105mm version, which I think is an export thing. None of these might fit the usual sprue, but I guess they should fit everything that's based on an unaltered hull. So I think that's why we haven't seen the French, because basically everything for the major players and the Nordic forces is in. What we're missing is most of the NATO book from Team Yankee, basically. I think the only thing in there is the Canadians.
and the
Because
Poles and the Czechs are missing
no, Poles and Czechs are in. Yeah,
in
there's
Checkpoint Charlie.
in Checkpoint Charlie. That's what's coming up in that in the new book. Yeah,
Right, duh.
yeah. Sorry, yeah. But what I'm saying is missing from the new book is everything
Right.
that we would say in Team Yankee was in the NATO book. Now, I'm not expecting Aussies and New Zealanders because they're a NAM anyway, so that's catered for. But like I say, French, the Dutch, the Belgians, they're all missing as it stands. I think only the Canadians are in for some reason. Is there a comment? Second comment. While sorting my stuff, I came across a box of Austrian models I printed and painted. I read it at first I was Australian, and when I read it now, it says it's Austrian. I really wanted to create a set of Austrian rules for Team Yankee, and I found various models that were suitable, like the Sauer SP7, their IFE, SK105 Cuirassier, tank destroyer with 105 gun offset turret. They are cool, those things. I thought it was a 90mm turret though. And the Pinsgar 6x6 with recordless guns, 20mm for AA. And of course, bunkers with various tank turrets, Centurions, Charioteers, etc. Everything kind of worked, but the Austrians and Knights were in a weird transition where they just lacked the tools to deal with modern threats. Now, Checkpoint Charlie, I can see them working much better. I see the Pringles in some generic Team Yankee stuff, and the Austrians use anyway M60s, M42s, maybe some 109s. Always 109s. Everyone has 109s. So yeah. Okay.
Man, you forget Austria exists after World War II.
Because they were
You probably prefer it that way.
yeah, well, they were forced to go neutral because obviously originally they also get carved up like the Germans did, but
Mm.
they quickly said, "All right, fine, we'll be neutral. Please leave us alone." And then they do largely stay neutral the way through, though. Unlike the Swiss, they joined the EU, but they never joined NATO. Now the problem is they were hoping, if we're neutral, no one will invade us, which World War II had already shown was a fallacy of a
Of everyone who took that approach, yes.
yes.
Uh the Belgians, the Benelux did not learn that lesson the first time.
Mm-hmm. Probably have to be told twice. Uh, Okay, so Lieutenant Cadet SES, new British plastic Team Yankee infantry is confusing. Not set for Falklands era, so they don't have the A1 SLR, correct? Yeah. Does not like Gulf War or later, so not modeled with body armor, flak vest by looks of things. So I'm not sure if during the first Gulf War there was body armor. I want to say that it was just starting to appear in the early 90s, so they probably should be in some sort of body armor.
The Americans definitely had it.
Yeah, yeah. But they had the PAS GT system with the Kevlar
Yeah.
helmets and that kind of stuff. Um, but certainly the weapons they had, as I said in the last video, makes no sense for doing the second Gulf War when we'd definitely have body armor. So
Mhm.
I'm curious to see what they're driving with that box set.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh
Joe Clark and thank And thank you for answering my question. Oh, on the last video, right, that makes more sense. But great video as always, chaps. Really excited for Checkpoint Charlie and Team Yankee releases, as am I. Both I'm enjoying early war more than I thought it was going to as well. So not a bad year so far. 123 Jay White says, in the Middle East book, you already have the Type 69, the T55 knockoff with a knockoff L7105. To which I say, no, you don't. Oil Wars, you only have 100 millimeters. There's no 105 arm T55s.
It's a
So
shame.
it's a shame. I mean, he's absolutely right. There should be some Type 69s knocking around, but they're not in Oil Wars as it stands. It's just 100 millimeter T55s.
Well, that's a model they would have had to make.
Different barrel. Yeah. Italy Books lives. Oh, sorry, Gerald Drake 3002. You already had a comment. You're being greedy. Well, so is Elseed, so fair enough. The Italy Book lives. Yes, it does. And we're looking forward to it. I really hope they have German P40s. I mean, they got to. It's already existing in the range. Why wouldn't you? So I can't actually run mine no longer as proxies along with all the other Catch Italian kit. Sure, do let me some German pasta. One thing, German pasta. That's a sight. That's a sight that doesn't bear thinking about. One thing I didn't hear you talk about, they also mentioned they're going to release some stuff for Sicily for mid-war. So that should finally bring the Canadians into mid-war. Right, so you're absolutely right. I missed the fact that you said, don't forget, we haven't forgot mid-war on Sicily. I didn't at the time. I didn't process that until people mentioned it afterwards. And
Sure. However, how many times have we heard about late war Italy?
Mhm.
7 years?
But how
A
about?
book, a card pack, back to a book.
Mhm. But could this book actually just be an Italian book that deals with both mid-war and late war? Sicily, the initial invasion of Italy, and then the late war part of Italy. That'd be an awesome book at that point.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen because Pete says we haven't forgotten about mid-war. I
Which means,
doubt
yeah,
that they're going to make the book that big.
I mean, I can dream. I can dream. Scott Duncan, J9I, CPC. Looks like a reboot of Nordic Forces, Warpack and NATO stuff, but not the armies in NATO forces, less Canadian. So that's where I got that thought from. Yeah, that comment. Thanks for that, Scott. This says Barbarossa book will hit me with a wet kipper, but I wager we end up with a winter war rolled into the Polish campaign. I think so, 'cause I think Finn's got mentioned.
Ooh.
Wonder if Japanese will include aka Rising Sun. Ah, didn't see Japanese mentioned, but does leave them kind of out.
Well, they barely got into mid-war. I think they're going to wait to put out a book for early war because
Hmm.
I have nothing strong to go off on this, but I do think when it came to the Pacific, Japanese sold very well.
Hmm.
I think those boxes ran out the fastest. So
I think so, yeah. Mainly because the British had the option around guys with shorts or guys with trousers, so they could always use their desert stuff. But yeah, the Americans was a bit more unique. Finally, Johan Malmquist 6076. Honestly, pretty stoked for all the stuff coming. Last year, I was kind of disappointed that it was only going to be one Team Yankee book. When Checkpoint Charlie hit, that changed my mind. And with Team Yankee and Checkpoint Charlie stuff coming next year, that makes me excited. Still kind of wish there was Soviet naval and marine stuff. Yeah, that's what I'm painting BTRs for. I kind of wish that too. And Checkpoint Charlie for that matter. Of course, like a bigger mission for Northern Europe. Well, that and I still want Toe 2 for my Swedes to be for the 1980s. Yeah, unfortunately, the Swedes kind of got a little bit punished a bit. That classic first time an army appears, they always go hard in 1985. Anything that appears just slightly out of that, like the Toad 2, is always going to be unfortunately skipped. But yeah, I would love to see him go back and just fill in the Warsaw Pact airborne and naval forces. So Polish airborne, Soviet
naval
naval
units.
infantry. Yeah. I want my little T-55s with the first active defense system that anyone came up with. It wasn't great, but it existed. But yeah. So thanks very much,
I want my
everyone.
East German Fallschirmjäger. Give them to me.
East German Fallschirmjäger, yeah. That'd be awesome. Yeah, all that kind of good stuff. So there you are. Thanks for your comments as always. Keep throwing them in. And hopefully you got some interesting thoughts on the French we discussed today. So next episode is going to be the British. And that'll be the last of the three nations in Blitzkrieg. And then after that, we'll look at the two-player starters and the command cards.
Yep.
And that'll be early war done at that point. So Again, gonna try and keep up the weekly delivery schedule. Seems to be working. Just cutting my hobby time because I've got to spend all my time editing. I've actually got my BTRs going along nicely. I actually got the ZSU-57 started, but the ZSU-57s are a nightmare because they're resin metal and
Yeah.
there's not much to hold those barrels on. It's like a little nipple where you sort of have to put the thing on. Not much bite for the super glue. I have no idea how long they're going to last.
You get a little hobby drill and you drill the nip
I,
you
sh
drill the thing deeper
I,
so
I
you can
should have
shove
drilled
that
it
nipple in
deeper.
harder.
I was rushing them. I'm going to regret it later. Might try and reinforce it with some green stuff, I think. Anyway, please leave your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe so you know when the next video hits, and we'll see you then. As
Bye.
always,
Oh,
Patreon. If you're on the Patreon, you get the video one day early, so you can get all the get in early with your comments like LC does. But yes, see you later.
bye.
Hello, welcome to the episode of Time of Day, the Transatlantic War Game Podcast, brought to you by the people that brave for assault. I'm the Panhard recording from somewhere in the south of England, and that's everyone, joined by my co-host Mike. No, wait, where's Mike?